My parents-in-law and my husband Jack made me buy a house because I was doing well with my business. On the day we were supposed to move in, Jack said something shocking. "Starting today, I'm gonna live here with my parents. You can't live in this house." I was betrayed by my husband. I was told to move into my in-laws' now vacant house. I had suspected for months that my husband and my in-laws were up to something behind my back. But I never imagined that they were planning this. Why should I have to support my husband and in-laws by paying for a house I can't even live in? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. But instead of showing my anger, I decided to play along. "Sure, I'll stay in your parents' house then." I pretended to be happy about the arrangement, making my husband and in-laws believe I was content. Without any suspicion, my husband and in-laws moved into the new house. "Keep it tidy, okay?" "I'll come by for a surprise inspection." "Of course, anytime. I'll be waiting," I replied with a smile. 6 months later, my husband and in-laws showed up unexpectedly for an inspection. They were shocked by what they saw. Immediately, my phone rang. This marked the beginning of my revenge against my husband and in-laws. I was determined to get even. My name is Lisa James. I'm 33 years old and I run my own company. I started with a small budget, targeting young women in their 20s by opening a cute cafe. The cafe was a huge hit, allowing me to expand and open more locations. Eventually, I branched out into cake shops and nail salons, continuously expanding my business. Now, I have a manager in each store, allowing me to focus solely on the business side of things. With more free time, I've picked up various hobbies and I'm thoroughly enjoying my life. One of my hobbies is visiting museums, and it was during one of these visits that I met my husband Jack. Jack was attracted to my vibrant personality and enthusiasm for various things. He asked me out, and I was drawn to his sincerity and kindness. We started dating, and a year later, we got married. I moved into the apartment he had originally rented, and we lived happily together. It's been 2 years since we got married, and our belongings and furniture have started to pile up. I began thinking it might be a good time to buy a new house. "Hey, honey, what do you think about buying a new house?" "Yeah, but moving to a place with higher rent might be tough. Groceries have gotten more expensive too. Maybe we should just stay here a little longer." Jack didn't want to move because he didn't want to cut back on spending for his hobbies. So I made him a proposal. "Right now, you pay the rent and I cover the utilities. Let's switch that around. I'll cover the rent since my business is doing well, and you can handle the utilities. How about that?" Jack quickly agreed. "Really? I thought I'd be paying the rent forever. That's why I wasn't keen on moving or buying a new house." Once he realized I'd be covering the rent, he started opening up. "Honestly, I've always felt that since you make more, you could take care of the rent. I'm so glad you suggested it first. Let's go to a realtor and look for a new place." Jack became enthusiastic about buying a new house, and we quickly started looking. At the realtor's office, he eagerly shared his preferences with the agent. "It has to be close to the station, a single-family home, and the bigger the better." The agent probably thought Jack was wealthy because of his high demands. They likely saw me as just a housewife tagging along. Jack was so excited that he was ready to sign the contract right away. But I insisted on taking the details home to discuss. "It's a big purchase, so we should be cautious. I'd also like to get advice from someone with more knowledge about real estate." "Oh, right. My dad has some real estate qualifications. We could ask him." Jack immediately called his father and asked him to come over. "He said he'd come tomorrow. Let's talk more then." "Tomorrow? That's too soon. I don't even know what to ask." "It's fine. Just ask about everything, including what you don't understand." He was nonchalant and headed to bed. The next morning, my father-in-law, Brian, arrived early. He barged in even though I was still in my pajamas.
Show me the documents if you're buying a house.
Brian and Jack had an intense discussion about the house over breakfast.
This one's the best option, but can you afford it? No problem. Lisa will pay for it.
As soon as he heard I was paying, Brian chose the most expensive option.
If Lisa's covering it, we might as well get this one. You can easily afford it.
Brian underestimated my work and saw it as easy money. He wasn't committed to finding a house that was worth the price because he wasn't the one paying for it. It was so carelessly handled that I got a bit annoyed. But Jack didn't notice and continued moving the discussion forward.
If Dad thinks it's the best choice, then it must be. Let's go with this one.
Wait a minute. What about my opinion? Both of them paused for a moment, but pretended not to hear me.
I'm calling the realtor now.
When it was just me and Brian, he said something shocking.
Thanks to you, we can move into a bigger house. You're such a good wife.
Excuse me? I had a bad feeling. What did he mean by moving into a bigger house? Were they planning to live with us? I wanted to ask, but was too scared to speak. Jack returned after quickly finishing his call.
I've set everything up with the realtor. We're moving into that house. This way, we can take care of Mom and Dad comfortably.
So they were planning to live together without telling me. Oh, what do you mean?
We've been relying on them all this time. We should take care of them a bit. We bought a big new house, so it's only natural to live together and take care of them.
His expression made it clear he thought this was completely normal. But I'm the one who bought the house. Shouldn't it be my parents that move in?
You said you wanted to buy it, didn't you? We're married, so it doesn't matter whose parents move in.
His response was cold, and we couldn't have a proper conversation. If this kept up, we wouldn't be able to move to the new house with peace of mind, and I wouldn't be able to relax. We argued every day until the moving day. But he was adamant about living together and wouldn't budge. Finally, on the day we were supposed to move in, he took drastic measures.
From today, Mom, Dad, and I will live in the new house. You can stay at my parents' house.
I was being forced out of the house I paid for. Jack, with a smug face, infuriated me. But since I had suspected for days that something was off, I wasn't surprised by his words. Fine, I'll stay at your parents' house starting today. Jack, suspicious of my sudden agreement, added a condition.
Oh, by the way, Dad's still paying off the mortgage. If you're gonna live there, you'll cover the payments, right?
I found out that my in-laws still had about 10 years left on their mortgage. Well, if I'm living there, it's only natural. He quickly called his father to inform him of the new arrangement. Both my husband and in-laws, Brian and Amanda, probably thought they were lucky. They believed I'd be paying for both the new house and the remaining mortgage on their old house. Jack was thrilled about moving into a new, spacious house, unaware of my plans. Shortly after they moved into the new house, I began my plan in the old house. I heard from Jack that you gifted us the new house. How generous. Honestly, I thought you were a terrible daughter-in-law, but this makes up for it. I was stunned by how they twisted the story into a gift. It was annoying to hear such sarcastic remarks from Amanda, even though I supposedly gifted them a new house. But I suppressed my emotions and replied calmly, "Of course, I'll make sure the house is spotless for you both." I managed to keep a straight face while answering them. Unaware of my true intentions, my in-laws moved to the new house. After they left, I had a hectic few months. I was preparing for my revenge against Jack and my in-laws. 6 months later, while enjoying a quiet lunch, I received a call from Jack. I figured they'd finally realized what had happened. I answered the call to hear Jack yelling from the start.
What did you do to my parents' house? What's going on?
I just cleaned it up as you requested. I responded casually, knowing full well what he meant.
That's not what we meant when we said to clean up.
I guess I misunderstood. Silly me. After Jack and my in-laws moved into the new house, I had completely gutted their old one. Since I was now the owner of the old house and they told me to keep it clean, I took it to the extreme. I had no problem spending some money on this. It was worth seeing them suffer for taking over my new house. My sole focus was on making Jack and my in-laws regret their actions. Since I now owned the old house, I could do whatever I wanted with it. You do remember that both of you agreed to this, right? Jack, realizing the situation, started panicking.
You changed the account for the new house mortgage to Dad's, didn't you?
I wondered when you'd notice. I was waiting for your call. Jack had finally addressed the main issue, but Brian overheard and shouted from behind.
How dare you change the account without permission? Who does such a thing?
I didn't change anything. You signed the papers yourself. Don't try to blame me. My simple explanation left both Jack and his father speechless. As expected, I had to clarify everything for them. Remember when you signed the agreements to transfer the old house to me? That's when we switched the mortgage accounts. You signed everything after I explained it to you.
Dad, what have you done? I didn't sign anything like that.
Both of them went pale, realizing that they had no one to blame but themselves. Since you two chose that house, you'll continue to pay for it. It's only fair. If I had even a little say in choosing this house, you'd probably demand I pay a portion of it. I made sure to emphasize that letting them decide everything was the best choice I could have made.
But you were the one who suggested buying the new house in the first place. That's right. And now our retirement fund is almost gone because of you. What are you gonna do about it?
That's rich coming from you. We were supposed to buy a house for just Jack and me. Then you two decided to move in without my consent. I'm not paying for 2 houses when I can't even live in one. I let out all my pent-up frustrations. But Jack and Brian wouldn't back down.
What's the big deal about living together? It was bound to happen sooner or later. After everything they've done for us, it's only right to live with them. Children should look after their parents. Stop complaining.
I sighed, exhausted by their stubbornness. I haven't received any help from you two. I took a deep breath and continued. You didn't even give us a wedding gift. Instead, you demanded money, claiming I took your son away. Every time we visited, you demanded separate gifts for each of you. And now you talk about being indebted and caring for you? What a joke. I shouted out everything I had been feeling from the bottom of my heart. Out of breath, but relieved to have finally said what I needed to, I felt a little lighter. Jack, I didn't marry you to take care of your parents. I will never live with them. If that's the kind of wife you want, let's get a divorce.
Divorce her, Jack. We don't need a woman like her.
Instead of Jack, Brian shouted back. Taking the bait, Jack agreed to the divorce in a fit of emotion.
I'll fill out the papers and send them over right away. I don't want to stay married to you any longer than necessary.
Jack was too emotional to think straight and ended up acting in my favor. To make sure he didn't realize, I carefully navigated the conversation. Despite being at a disadvantage post-divorce, Jack agreed to it. This was thanks to my in-laws urging him to get a divorce. I had always thought of them as rude, inconsiderate people, but for this, I was grateful. I'll handle the paperwork once it arrives. Good luck finding a new partner. I hung up the phone with a sense of satisfaction. It felt great having said everything I wanted. Jack and my in-laws were likely boiling with frustration, but I had blocked their numbers. Not long after, the divorce papers arrived with a bitter letter. Of course, I didn't bother reading it and tore it up. What a petty man. If I had known he was like this from the start, I never would have married him. I muttered to myself as I threw the letter in the trash. A few months later, I decided to move to avoid Jack showing up unexpectedly. I had been living in a modest apartment, but this time I bought a luxury condo. Every night, I enjoy a glass of wine while admiring the beautiful night view. I focused on work, breaking sales records every month. Meanwhile, Jack's life took a tragic turn. Initially, they lived off Brian's savings and retirement fund. But the expenses of living in a house beyond their means quickly depleted their funds.
What are we gonna do? We need to move out of this house quickly, or we'll end up in debt.
Jack suggested moving to a cheaper place, but Brian resisted.
Moving out now would make Lisa laugh at us. I won't allow that. We'll stay here.
Brian's pride led them down a path of ruin. They ended up living a life of poverty, struggling to make ends meet. Amanda's dementia worsened, and Brian had to care for her daily.
Jack, find a wife quickly and relieve me of this burden. I can't. I'm too busy earning money for our living expenses to think about love.
The daily struggles kept piling up stress for Jack. Despite knowing it was partially his father's fault, Jack still grumbled.
Whose fault do you think it is that we're in this situation? Why don't you go back to your old job or beg them to let you work again? No way. I've worked enough for a lifetime. I want to relax in my old age. Besides, I can't leave your mother alone. Who knows what she might do?
Brian had been despised at his previous job due to his arrogant attitude. He was nearly a do-nothing employee for the last 5 years before retirement. Jack, unaware of this, kept pushing for his father to work again, leading to daily arguments. After about 6 months, their savings were completely gone.
What now? We have no money left.
Their arguments became more frequent, but their financial situation didn't improve. In fact, it continued to worsen. With no savings left, they lived solely on Jack's earnings, but it wasn't enough. And so Jack began borrowing money.
I should be able to repay it with the next bonus.
But when the time came, the company's performance had declined and the bonus was much smaller than expected. Jack couldn't repay his debt, and their situation became even more dire. Realizing they couldn't continue like this, Jack and his father decided to sell the house. They moved into an old apartment with low rent, but the living conditions were poor. The neighbors were loud, and the quality of life had significantly dropped.
I can't sleep with the neighbors making so much noise. I'd rather pay more and go back to the old house. If you feel that way, why don't you work too?
The argument over the noisy neighbors led to them bickering louder than the neighbors themselves. They were even scolded by the landlord. The change in the environment made Amanda's condition worse, and she started behaving erratically.
I can't handle this anymore. She needs to go to a nursing home.
Brian finally reached his breaking point and placed Amanda in a care facility. They thought it would relieve them, but the costs were higher than expected.
It costs this much for mom's care? I can't even think about what it'll cost for dad later.
Jack was horrified at the thought of his father also needing care in the future.
Dad, maybe we don't need to live together anymore. What are you talking about, Jack?
Jack suggested they separate, thinking it would be easier for him. But his father firmly refused.
You're just trying to make things easier for yourself. I won't allow it.
Jack secretly fled in the middle of the night, leaving his father behind. He was initially thrilled to have gained his freedom, but it didn't last. Though he was now alone, he still had debts and had to pay for his mother's care. Moreover, since he fled without taking anything, he had to buy all new furniture, further increasing his expenses. Meanwhile, Brian, who had been abandoned, was in an even worse situation. With no income, he reluctantly decided to work, but his attitude got him constantly scolded by younger employees.
I'm older than you. Why do I have to be yelled at? Show some respect to your elders.
Instead of reflecting on his behavior, he became even more arrogant. This led to him being told not to return to work anymore. He started spending recklessly at bars to relieve his stress, which only made things worse. Unable to pay rent, he was eventually evicted and ended up living on the streets. He's now known as the loud old man for shouting complaints at passerby and yelling about society's injustice. Jack and my in-laws were selfish and stubborn, leading them to a miserable life. I feel no pity for them and believe they deserve to suffer more and truly reflect on their actions. Right after the divorce, I often thought that way. But now I barely think about Jack and his parents anymore. That's because I'm too busy to dwell on the past. My business has become even more successful, and I'm occupied with work every day. Instead of spending time on revenge, I want to focus on my employees and the people around me now. This determination has made me want to cherish my current relationships. Because of this, magazines and media have started featuring me as a female entrepreneur to watch. This exposure has boosted my sales even more, and my life continues to thrive. I'm sure more opportunities will come my way, and when the time is right, I hope to meet someone better than Jack. I'm determined to live a better life and not let that marriage be my last.